So we're sending out the signal this morning. What a beautiful, another sunny day out there we got. This is Arizona's not too hot yet, so it's great. So we're going to start this service with a song called "This Is the Day," and if you'd please rise and join with us, we'd appreciate the Spirit sharing. And so if Kathy's ready.
Share the love.
I think so.
This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. Sing that with me. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day, a day to be seized, yeah. A day I can feel my spirit set free. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day all my dreams come true. Can feel the Spirit working its way through. Yes, this is the day. It's time to fly higher and high up in the sky. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. I will rejoice and be glad in it.
Everybody. Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the West Valley Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Julie Anna Smith, and I am the board president here. And I want to thank you for being here with us today. And those of you online, I'd like to thank you for joining us wherever you are, whenever you're watching. Thank you for being here to remember that we are all whole, perfect, and complete, just the way that we are. Remembering that every Sunday. I have some announcements that I'd like to share today. Thursdays, we have our Spot On, spiritual practice on Thursdays. That is happening Thursdays at 1:30 p.m. We also have an Om Circle that is ongoing at the center that is on Saturday evenings from 6:30 to 7:30 p.m. A monthly drum circle as well. That's happening this Saturday. It's the third Saturday of every month, and it'll be this Saturday at 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. And also, we have our Wellness Expo coming up Saturday, June 22nd, here at the center from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I have two special announcements. I would like to first invite Kay up to the platform to talk about Wellness Wednesday.
Cute shoes. She always has cute shoes. Hi, I'm Kay. And a couple years ago, well, actually, it's been several years now, I had a wellness circle here at the center. And then due to COVID, we kind of disbanded. But now we're doing Wellness Wednesday. And so I, in conjunction with Well to Being, who rents upstairs with Kelly and Veronica, we are doing a Wellness Wednesday every Wednesday from 1 to 2, and we'll be sharing a lot of wellness strategies. You know, we did tapping last week. We're going to do Qigong and conscious coloring and a variety of exciting things that are a lot of fun. So I invite you, if you're available, to join us every Wednesday from 1 to 2. Thank you.
Wonderful. And then I also have Gloria in the house to do an announcement. All right.
Hey, I see you. I see you, and I love you. I love you. Listen, I am here today because I want you to know that there's an increased need in the community, and we would like to be able to assist with that. So I'm asking for donations to fill emergency food bags. You can place those items in Papke Hall on the table behind the lector. And if you need a list, there are lists printed in Papke Hall on the little board as you go into Papke Hall. And also, we will put this in the bulletin. And I thank you so much for your participation in every donation that you bring. Thank you.
Wonderful. We have so much going on here. I love it. So we will go ahead and say our vision statement together. We are a loving, joy-filled community, honoring the many paths to God as we learn and live the science of mind principles. And so it is. And now we'll turn it over to the Bradfords, who will put us into a quiet moment to get still and ready for Reverend Karen's talk.
So just take a deep breath, relax as we move within.
I will make a quiet place within my heart, and I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know.
I will make a quiet place within my mind. I will wait upon the Lord, wait upon the Lord.
Be still, my soul, be still. Be still, my soul, be still. Be still and know. I will make a quiet place within my life, and I will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. I will make a quiet place.
Sacred space where God permeates all there is, all there ever was, and all there ever has been. God is love, light, beauty, joy, peace, freedom, health, prosperity. And this God is individualized into each of us. We are all part of this whole. And as this service goes forward, I know that it is absolutely perfect, just the way it is supposed to be. The Bradford's music uplifts us, brings us together, gives us joy. Reverend Karen's message will be audacious today, I have no doubt. It will be perfect as God speaks through her. And knowing this, I just want to release this into the law, and knowing it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. So I'm reading today from Emmett Fox, Sermon on the Mount. It's a classic metaphysic book. I've done several book studies on it. And it talks about, the book is basically about the Beatitudes and the Our Father. And it's done, he explains it metaphysically. So I'm going to start today with the Our Father. This simple statement in itself constitutes a definite and complete system of theology. It fixes clearly and distinctly the nature and character of God. It sums up the truth of being. It tells all that man needs to know about God and about himself and about his neighbor. Anything that is added to this can only be by way of commentary, and is more than likely or not to complicate and obscure the true meaning of the text. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, "My religion is summed up in the first two words of the Lord's Prayer," and most of us will find ourselves in full agreement. Note this clause, which fixes the nature of God at the same time fixes the nature of man, because if man is the offspring of God, he must partake of the nature of God, since the nature of the offspring is invariably similar to that of the parent. It is cosmic law that like begets like. It is not possible that a rose bush should produce lilies, or a cow should give birth to a colt. The offspring is and must be of the same nature as the parent. And so, since God is divine spirit, man must essentially be divine spirit too, whatever appearances may say to the contrary. Let's think about that for a moment. And so it is.
So today's message is going to be on living boldly, being audacious, and I thought this song fit. Just let your love flow to everyone you meet and come in contact with.
There's a reason for the sunshine sky, and there's a reason why I'm feeling so high. Must be the season when that love light shines all around you. So let that feeling send you deep inside and send you reeling where your love can't hide, and then go stealing through the moonlit nights with your lover. Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, it's the season. There's a reason for the warm sweet nights, and there's a reason for the candle lights. Must be the season when those love lights shine all around us. So let that wonder grab you deep in space and lay you under. Its loving embrace, just feel the thunder as it warms your face. You can't hold back.
Sing it with us.
Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the reason. Just let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love find you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, it's the reason.
Let's do it again.
Just let your love flow like a mountain stream, and let your love grow with the smallest of dreams, and let your love show. And you know what I mean, it's the season. Just let your love fly like a bird on the wing, and let your love bind you to all living things, and let your love shine. And you know what I mean, it's the reason.
Let your love flow.
That was fabulous. Thank you, Bradfords. Good morning. Look at us all here on a Sunday morning in a comfy little room. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. I'm Reverend Karen Rice, and it is my pleasure to be the spiritual leader of this community. And I was away last week. It's always good to be home. I'm going to tell you a little bit about that. Before I get started, I did want to piggyback on, where did Gloria go? Oh, there you are. The emergency food bags are for us to have here when people come to the door and they're looking for help with whatever their predicament is. And it's a great help for me that we do this campaign about once a year. And you bring in the goods, and you can even help pack the bags. And do we have enough bags, do you think? Okay, so we're good on bags this year, but I can't tell you what a pleasure it is, especially if I'm here alone in the building and somebody comes to the door and they're in need, and I can freely say, I have food. And it just is such a great thing that we have done for the whole time I've been here. We've been doing it. So thank you for supporting us on that. And thank you I love that Gloria always finds my passion and makes a big deal out of it. And we have a good time, all of us together, and we make a difference in the world. We are talking about sacred audacity today. We're going to be a little audacious, which, I like to be anyhow. But the theme was selected by Centers for Spiritual Living. In fact, the whole month of June, on the cover of the Science of Mind magazine, the theme is, what is it? Behaving boldly? I think it says... holy boldness. The theme is holy boldness. Isn't that a great theme? So we're talking about holy boldness, and today we're specifically looking at this idea of sacred audacity. And I only speak occasionally from the suggestions that they offer ministers, but I knew we could have fun with this topic, so I dived in. And here's the quote they gave us to start with. Here's the theme of what they want to be spoken today. Sacred audacity allows us to do things that we don't necessarily think we can do. Our parent organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, has been housed in Golden, Colorado for the past about 10 years, and they're making a move now, and we've been looking for a home for the archives, the very precious, I love the archives. I used to play in them when they were located in Los Angeles, and I lived there because my church would take a team of volunteers down once a month to help, and it was such a pleasure to get your hands in all this archival stuff. And Ernest Holmes would, and I'm an Ernest Holmes junkie. I just love Holmes. He's the founder of this teaching, but he would write poems on like the cardboard from his dry cleaning, and they have stuff like that in the archives that was just so fun for me to see and handle. And and be a part of. But the reason I tell you that is because right now, this weekend, we have found a new home for the archives, and they are moving into their new home this weekend. And we are now, our archives are housed in Unity Village in Missouri, which is a great honor. And I want to just say to you that that excites me, because what we're seeing is the different parts of New Thought coming together in sort of mysterious ways. I just want to let you all know I've predicted it for years. So we'll see what happens. I don't think it's a hard prediction, though. I think that we really are destined to smooth out the wrinkles of how we look a little different and find our way to be a bigger organization. So to have sacred audacity, to be audacious, is to be bold in the face of challenges, or when we have to take risks in spiritual ways. And it sort of seems to call us to an element of fearlessness. But life is never totally without fear. We have fear for good reasons. It helps us behave sometimes, not always. But it helps us to look today specifically at the idea of audacious behavior in a spiritual context, so we can fit in with that idea of holy boldness. So to be bold in that holy, sacred, and audacious way means that we are willing to take risks in the name of good. That we are willing to think about how we personally define what is God? What is the purpose for humanity to be here on the planet? Can we audaciously look at those questions and be willing to just open our minds more and embody these bigger truths? In fact, what I think is happening in the world is that we're learning to have the audacity to speak about God in more universal and expansive ways, and I think that's a good thing. It started with that idea of being spiritual but not religious, and I always loved that term. I saw it on a hospital admittance form once, that they were actually using SBNR, where they used to ask you, I don't even know if they still do. Well, they probably do. I'm looking at a nurse. They probably still do, huh? Because, you might need it. So they had SBNR as one of the boxes you could check instead of saying I'm Jewish or I'm Christian or I'm Muslim. So there's this way that life is evolving in an expansive way that takes a little audacity to manage our own place in all of it. So to practice, I'm going to make 3 points this morning. The 3 points I don't usually tell you what my 3 points are, but this morning I want you to know that, first of all, we're going to look at our personal spiritual values to make you, I want to stimulate some thought on your part. This is what you can take home and work on this week. Do you know how you would articulate? How could you speak to what that means to have spiritual values? Sometimes I created this class once called Personal Theology. So you could find out, what do I believe? Not what is the minister telling me on Sunday morning, not what somebody's interpretation of Holy Scriptures are, no matter what the Scriptures are, but can you look for your spiritual values? And number 2, can we then align our own personal lives to that spiritual truth that might be different one from the other? My husband and I had very different perspectives on, well, everything. He was not only much taller than me, we politically, we could really go at it politically and spiritually. I always said, God bless him for coming, but the only reason he came to church here was to see me. So, but it made for a spicy marriage, 50 years of a wonderful marriage. And then the third thing I want to talk about this morning is, and I want you to be really audacious and bold in this request, and that is, I'm inviting you to look at ways in which you are living your spiritual life a little smaller than you could. How do you hold back from being audacious in that sacred way? So I'm going to start with a story. So where I was last weekend was at Sue Witter's graduation. So if you've been at any part of this community for the last, 20 years, I think she's been here a long time, she finally got off her hiney and got herself to school, because everybody knows that this woman has been a minister long before I knew her. And she went into this rigid school of study, and last weekend was her formal graduation from Centers for Spiritual Living Homes Institute. So there are a number of ways you can now go through this school, but I got to go, and I was a part of the ceremony. They actually, when they heard I was coming, they asked me to do the invocation, and it was such an honor. It's in Encinitas, it's the Seaside CSL, and it's where I went to school. But more than just the fact that I went to school there, 20 years ago, I was sitting in the front row waiting to be called up to do the opening prayer in this big room full of important people with all kinds of caps and gowns and minister robes. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking, and they have one of Ernest Holmes' lecterns that they speak behind, and I get to stand there and have that joyous experience, because I'm a groupie. And so I'm there, and it's the campus that I went to school at, but I'm sitting in that front row, and I realize that it was exactly 20 years earlier that I was sitting right over where Sue Witter was sitting, very close to where she was seated, when I felt my own soul open up, and I received the call to ministry, and I said yes. It was as though, it's so vivid to me to remember, it was as though every atom in my body just opened up with this profound, audacious yes. And there was really no way I could imagine that I could really do that. So talk about audacity allows us to do things we don't necessarily think we can. I didn't think I had the money. I didn't think I had the time. It was a long ways from LA to get to San Diego every weekend, but I pulled it off. We did in-person classes then. It's changed since, lockdown and all that. Since Zoom. Don't you wish I had stock in Zoom? So I'm there at this graduation, and I'm having this amazing experience, but the whole weekend I reflected on my own time, my 3 years earning that master's degree in that beautiful program. And I remembered that I had, there are a lot of classes you have to take. Sue had to take 10 different exams. It used to be 6. We had 6 topics we studied. It is now 10. And she just got word that she passed all her written exams. By the way, we will celebrate her. She doesn't want to be, you can congratulate her next week because she's speaking at Lake Havasu today. But when she wants to be celebrated is after her oral panel in August. So we'll have us one big party for that occasion. That'll be really fun to look forward to. But in the School of Ministry, you have to take speaking classes. They called it homiletics when I was in school. And in the advanced homiletics class, one of our assignments was that we had to write a talk on your most embarrassing moment. And you had to then find a way to fit in spiritual principle into your most embarrassing moment and use quotes from Holmes and all those proper things. So my most embarrassing moment is very easy for me to pull up. I have a really profound one. And so I want to tell you my most embarrassing moment that I had to write and present this talk while I was in school. So my story starts where I was in the workplace. And I had this lovely job. I worked for a nonprofit, and I started as one of the teachers teaching family communication skills to parents and their teenagers. Can you imagine such a job? It was a hard job. It was a really fun job. And I worked my way up until I was the program coordinator for that particular part of the nonprofit organization I worked for. We rented space on a school campus. So it was a continuation school, or it was the alternative school where they had all the home studies, and everybody that didn't fit in the high school campus anymore got to go to school there in one way or another. The principal of that school, when my children were in high school, he used to be the vice principal in charge of discipline. I met him many times. Usually I could talk my husband into going, but I had many encounters with him. He knew me very well, and now he's the principal in this new setting. I have to bump into him a couple times a week. I see him, and I notice that it's always awkward. I see him as this authority figure still, and he is a principal and all that. But we were friendly with each other, and he was very personable. But I noticed that anytime I got in a position where I was near him, I would get really nervous and say stupid things. You know how that is? Do you know? You guys all, I'm not the only one, right? So this one day I'm leaving. I'm finished my work day. I leave my office and I'm walking toward my car at the same time that he's leaving his office and walking to the same parking lot. And so now we're joined. And I'm thinking, oh, crap. Now I got to walk with him, and I'm not very comfortable. And I don't know, maybe there was an element of shame, like, oh, I should have been a better parent so you wouldn't know my kids so well. There's all this stuff that goes with being embarrassed. But the parking lot was very old, and the blacktop had become all crumbly and gravelly, and there were potholes here and there, and I, of course, was wearing my very nice high heels. And yes, you guessed it, I took a fall. My feet got tangled up in some gravel, and I start to go down, and I promise you, every time I rehearse this in the mirror this morning, I can see it in slow motion. It's just in slow motion. I'm going down. I twist an ankle. I'm going all the way down, and I reach out to grab onto him so that I don't fall all the way down, but I grabbed him in a really inappropriate place. And he was taken aback. And while I'm falling all the way to the ground, he goes, "What are you doing?" I don't remember how I got up. I'm not sure he helped me. I can tell you we did not make eye contact for a while. He went his way, I went my way. I went on to be able to write a Sunday sermon about my most embarrassing moment, and I titled my talk, Falling into Principle. I learned a thing or two about gravity. There are laws in this universe. But if we look at the physical laws of the universe and understand that there are spiritual laws of the universe that we can study and learn, and that we can walk in sync with rather than out of sync with, and we can use them. So sometimes life trips us up, and we figure out how to use spiritual principle by sort of falling into it. We don't have all the answers before the things happen, It's life is a journey, and we're learning things while they are unfolding. So the point of the assignment from the teacher's point of view was that this topic of embarrassment it can be humorous to look at it, because come on, you were thinking about as soon as I said most embarrassing, I'll bet most of you were starting to think about some of the things that you have been through in your own experiences. And often we can laugh, but sometimes embarrassment really is so difficult to deal with that it stirs a little shame. And I do think there is a thread of shame in embarrassment. In fact, when I looked for a definition of it, it said, embarrassment is the fear of looking foolish. So the idea that we would be asked to write a talk about an embarrassing moment became a lesson in how we can redefine our stories. Because we're always making things up, and even in our memory of things, we're still participating in the story. So what if we could alter it in a way where it's not harmful anymore, where it doesn't hurt to hear it or think about it, but instead we can laugh about it, and we can publicly share those things in a humorous, uplifting kind of way. probably it's the way we remember things that then becomes either an uplifting or a heavy downtrodden memory. But whatever it is, it can be fodder for personal growth. So here's the way I want you to look at it this week. There's this spiritual practice that we call the witness consciousness. So it's very much like practicing the presence, where you just try and be really present, in the moment. Like when the music starts, I'm really present, and then I open myself and I wait for that music to help me sink down into that space I desire to be in while I'm readying myself. So we use that in witness consciousness intentionally. And it can be one of the healthiest spiritual tools that we have in our little tool bag if we use it with the idea that we can reframe some of those awkward memories or experiences from our past. That's how we grow. We begin to open the doors to beliefs or storylines that we haven't realized have been holding us back. And there's a way we can get free from all of that. So I ask myself questions when I'm using the witness consciousness and I'm trying to be precise with it or intentional with it. I can see that my questions are like, how can I, well, we're talking about boldness and audacity today. How can I be a little bolder in the way that I strive to reframe my stories? How can I give myself permission when you're looking at feeling embarrassed? How can I give myself permission to be human? You're not here on the planet to be more godlike. You are godlike. You have the power of creativity within you. It is the way that you are created in the image and likeness of God. So we can partner with spirit. We can be co-creators in our own lives and make some choices that will help us be a little more audacious in the way we step forward, in the way that we can love and accept ourselves more fully. I was looking for studies on being embarrassed, and I found this quote from the journal Psychology Today. And it says, embarrassment is when an individual becomes conscious of a real or imagined inability to comply with social norms that others have witnessed. Yeah, so it's one thing to do it alone, but I swear, do anybody relate to this? Even if I'm alone and I bump my head on a kitchen cabinet, I gotta look at it. Like, why? Where did you come from? Even so there's something about our desire to not look foolish. Although it's laughing is such a good immediate cure. We can always laugh at ourselves. So if you find that you have a thread of shame in the way you experience embarrassment, then just notice that it is that shame that can hold you back. Brene Brown has done the best work on anything related to shame that's ever been done. And it doesn't matter if it really happened or if we imagined it. There's no point in even worrying about it. What matters is, can we rethink it, reframe it, and see that there are other ways of interpreting all of the shenanigans we've lived through in our own life. So having sacred audacity is about being true to your values. Know what's most important for you, our spiritual values, our ethical values. Know yourself and then live with that inner courage and that holy boldness, and realize yet again that this is not about living without fear. Fear will rear its ugly head every now and then. But this is about living in spite of fear. You can't be courageous if you didn't first feel afraid somehow. It's what they say. So use that energy of audacity to pull you through the fears, and you will see big changes in the way you view life. I want to talk about an individual who's touched my life. I don't know him personally, but Parker Palmer is actually one of the great education leaders and a spiritual leader and he's a prolific author, and he's someone that we studied in school as well. And Parker Palmer talks a lot about having the courage to be vulnerable. This is what we're talking about today, right? That it feels scary sometimes to be vulnerable, but to be a little audacious in our willingness to feel vulnerability is a good thing. And he relates it to how much we experience joy. Here is a quote from Parker Palmer. "Before I can tell my life what I want to do with it, I have to listen to my life telling me who I am." Who are you? Right? You're so much more than flesh and your job and your car, the car you drive, or any of that. To live our best life, we have to have a desire to live authentically. And the answer to the question, who are you? You are a child of God. You are this divine being. Something in you is pure God, and there is a holiness about each of us that is far beyond anything we could imagine. One day, about a year after we'd been in lockdown, about a year after the beginning of lockdown, I was watching a podcast, because boy, that's when we all started watching that stuff or listening to podcasts. And I saw Parker Palmer interviewing a woman who was a spiritual leader, and they were talking about what it was like to go through COVID and lockdown. And the woman said, it was such a good interview. The woman said, she was kind of lamenting, like, I just don't feel like I've done a good job as a spiritual leader. You know, we're locked down. I just think now there's so much more I could have done. And Parker Palmer is so poised, and he's a bit older, and he said so lovingly to this woman, a dynamic leader. He said to her, "There's only one question to ever ask. Ask yourself, have I been living faithful to my values?" See, because if you do that and you know what your values are, it will be easy for you to see that it's not difficult to live aligned to your values. And I find that very uplifting. We are still living in it's a ruckus out there, you know? It's complicated. Life has gotten so complex. And I think it's interesting to think that each of us lived through a global lockdown. I mean, it was so scary. It's so lovely to look back, to be here today, and to look back and see how we survived with so much uncertainty. There was so much to worry about. Every day we had to have a holy boldness about ourselves, just to do the things we had to do, staying home, staying safe, and not going completely mad in our worry and our concern. I think that explains entirely why so many of us watch that stupid tiger guy on Netflix. It was like, I don't like that. Why did I watch that? And why did I enjoy it? I'm so confused, you know? And everybody in my life was watching it, and we were all secretly going, don't tell anybody, but you got to watch the Tiger King guy. It's like, so we did what we had to do, and it took boldness. It took sacred audacity to help us get through that, and I want us to appreciate that. I want us to recognize that we're not without that we've done that, and each of us can look. Even if you were miserable while you were going through it, you did it. While I was researching this week, I found some work from Stanford University on fear, and this is a beautiful quote that comes out of Stanford. Fear is mastered through love. I love this. This is what I teach every Sunday. I'm always talking about, the brain sees differences, the heart harmonizes. I love these when I stumble on something that fits me perfectly. Fear is mastered through love. A common cause of fear is concern for inadequate resources. Could be anything. We knew it as toilet paper. And that seemed pretty important. We had fun conversations around what our backup plans were going to be. Fear, the quote we did right here in this building. There were like 3 or 4 of us on Sunday. That was all. I sat in a chair. I'd go, Julie, it's everything working. And you know what? And we have recorded and archived videos since then. We had not done a single one before then. Okay, so the quote says, fear is our concern for inadequate resources. Fear is mastered through faith, and faith, when we recognize we already possess adequate interior resources. Faith comes when we recognize that we have those interior resources already within us, waiting. Always like on call, that God stuff, that infinite intelligence, the wisdom at the core of each of us. So I love that. We often say, Ernest Holmes often says people have to be left alone to discover God, to look at to ask those questions, and then make your own decision as to what all this means to you and how you're going to talk about it or how you're going to have peace of mind from it. So what I notice is we still have this great controversy going on the planet. We still have discord. We still see differences, and we have different ideas. And I just find it interesting that one day I was in line at the bank, another time I was in line I was looking at product at, I don't know, Sam's Club or somewhere. It's happened to me at the grocery store. It happens almost anywhere I go where you accidentally start hearing people talking about how awful the world is. And then there's this great congruence, as if everybody's on the same page, and we're not, but there's this great camaraderie as they begin to speak vile, horrible things about whoever it is they disagree with, whether it's a political party or masking or not masking, and all the stuff that goes on. And you hear this camaraderie, but it's so angry, and it's so it seems to be filled with vile emotions and contempt. And what I stop to wonder, because if you're me and you're always studying this stuff, this level of discord that people are speaking about, they are speaking without realizing how powerful our words are. So even if we all agree that there's something going on in the world that I don't want injustice. I don't want to worry about, I won't name it, all of it. But when you speak about it from that level of energy, your words become something. Now, here's interesting. Kathy Royer, I told you before you started, your reading will tie in with my talk. Oliver Wendell Holmes said, great coincidence, right? Mm-hmm. This great quote, I like it so much I may have said it in here before, it doesn't matter. He said, "A word is the skin of a living thought. Its color and content change according to circumstance and time, but a word is the skin of a living thought." And thoughts become things. And when you speak the words, even if I heard conversations in the last 10 days about people that were elated off the ground with some of the news headlines. Finally, he gets his. And all I hear is contempt. And they're expressing it like it's joy, but it's hatred. There's an energy in it that we are participating in it when we get involved in those conversations. So be careful. Words are things. The words we speak create an internal vibration that shifts your own energy. And if you don't feel safe in the world, you shouldn't be talking about things that scare you so much. Emma Curtis Hopkins says, when you speak about your troubles, you double your troubles. Which brings me to my favorite Emma Curtis Hopkins quote that I actually used in my prayer last Sunday at the graduation. Emma said, Lord, show me the words that make the world glad and sane. Lord, show me the words that make the world glad and sane, not the words that contribute to the chaos and the discord and the hatred. Use me. Help me do this in a way that aligns to my values. So all discord, and we should always remember this, anything that annoys you or triggers you, all of it is a call to prayer. It's an opportunity for us to re-examine how we're hearing, what we're thinking, how we want to proceed with what we do with that information. All discord in the universe is a call for harmony. It's a greater truth trying to reveal itself so that things can be reordered. So what that means is, if I value love in my life, if I value kindness in my life, then hatred and contempt have no place in my living. And I want to have a witness consciousness where I can notice when I'm carrying hatred or I'm really angry about something, some current event in the world. Because you know what? It's not wrong to be angry. But contempt and hatred do an internal, energetic shift in us that if you value love and peace and kindness, you want to be smart about how you use those ideas. If I value peace, then I'm going to look for ways to live more peacefully, and I will not feed my anger. I think that's what we do in conversation accidentally. If I value joy and happiness, my happiness cannot be against humanity in any way. We are all human beings on this planet, and we are all a part of the web of life. And when we put a face on our hatred and we name it such, we are shifting our own inner vibration, and we're not heading toward happiness, joy, peace, love, or kindness. So do your best to not put a face on evil. And all of that brought me to remember that, most of you will have heard this before, that old, it's a Cherokee legend, a story that's told from a Cherokee elder. The grandfather's talking to his grandson. He's the chief of the tribe. And he's training his grandson now in these ways of leadership. And he says to his grandson, "Grandson, I have a fight within me. There's a fight going on inside of me. It's two wolves. And one wolf is dark and evil, and the other wolf is light and good. One wolf, the dark wolf, is regret and envy and guilt and anger, and the other wolf, the good wolf, is hope and compassion and kindness and truth." And then the grandfather said, "That fight is in me. Those two wolves are in me, but grandson, they are in you too. And they are in every human that walks on this earth." And the grandson said, "But which one will win, grandfather?" And of course he said, "The one you feed." So pay attention to what you are feeding. Be invested in the qualities of character you desire to exhibit in your living, and be audacious in the way you choose to have that holy boldness, that sacred audacity, right in the face of any challenges you may face. Even if it's just falling in a parking lot and embarrassing yourself. Even if it's fear of criticism or being judged. We are called to remember that everybody is doing the same fight that we are, so choose what you feed. It doesn't mean you won't get angry. It doesn't mean you won't feel wronged or sometimes just plain out annoyed by what people are talking about around you. But practice having that witness consciousness so that you know what's going on in your inner world, so that you can see what emotions you are fueling and growing in your own experience. Sacred audacity allows us to do things that we don't necessarily think we can do, but we can. So remember, your values are important and personal to you. Know that you are a child of God and that at the core of your being, there is something purely divine, untouched by any evil on the planet. And be bold in choosing those qualities that you desire to exhibit in your living. For as Emma Curtis Hopkins so perfectly stated, you have within you an instinct with executiveness, and it is waiting for your firm command. And that's what I wanted to say today. Take a breath. Take a holy breath. And we'll turn our attention inward. Touching the sacred and secret place of the Most High within. Setting aside all of the words and the ideas that have moved through our imagination as we have shared this time together. And knowing that there is a precious gem here, a takeaway for each one listening. So I feel the love of God. I feel it at the core of my being. I know that it is circulating in this sanctuary and it is rippling out, that wherever you may be listening from, that there too is the full presence of God right now. And so it is with this boldness, this respect for the holy presence of God. We step into an expanded way of defining and framing and reframing our experiences as well as our lives, of examining with a witness consciousness the beliefs that we may or may not be aware of that we carry around. We pay attention to the words that we use, for we know they are powerful. And so as we come together and harmonize in these words of prayer, I know there is something very sacred that is happening right now. And it causes us to be aware of the presence of God at the center of our being, the living Spirit itself, that which has created us and called us into being and that continues to support and sustain us. I feel that presence of God within me, and I sense it as a quickening at the core or center of me, and know that it is the very same quickening for each individual that hears the words spoken now. And we are changed as we allow ourselves to harmonize with love, to resonate with the peace of God within us. We are healing the things that ail us in the way that we become flexible and pliable. We are spiritually grounded, and therefore we are open. We are open at the top for new ideas and new thoughts, and we are open at the level of the heart so that that love can be constantly flowing and moving and expressing in our very own lives. So we are renewed this day. We can take back the accountability for our own story that we continue to create. We can alter our memories to support us in a strong and fabulous foundation, knowing that we wouldn't be where we are today if every single thing hadn't happened the way it did. So we take that and we use that. We audaciously look it in the face and boldly proclaim, yes, we are children of God. We are gifted freely with the grace of God. We are fueled and supplied and sourced in every way that is necessary. And we can look back on that season of lockdown and know that we were bold and brave and courageous in our very own ways. And if we could do that, we can do whatever else comes. So I am grateful to be part of a community that stands on such principles, that laughs together and cries together and eats together, and we rejoice and celebrate each other, and we encourage that audacity, that sacred audacity in the way we live our lives. So I say thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, infinite Spirit, for all these blessings and for all the blessings that are yet to come. And with a confidence and peace in my heart, I simply release the words of this prayer, knowing indeed that it is already done. And together we say, and so it is. Amen. Amen.
Grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. Everywhere I look and every face I see, His love reflected shining back to me. I just give thanks for all these simple things, the joy and peace that gratitude brings. That's why I'm grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have. I am so grateful, grateful, grateful for all the love that I have.
It's me. All right, and now it's time to give our donations, tithes, offerings. I want to point out that we don't pass the plate, but there are boxes in the back of the hall here, one by Papke Hall, one over there, and one in the bookstore over there. I also just want to mention that we do have prayer after service, so if you are interested and you need a 1-minute miracle, come on up and they will offer prayer. Practitioners will offer you prayer up here. And dining with the dudes is after service today, so stay and eat with us. And if you are brand new, we thank you. We welcome you and we thank you for coming and seeing our beacon of light in the West Valley. So together we're going to say our joyful giving affirmation. I live in a consciousness of good. Divine love blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Thank you, God. And so it is.
Please rise for our last song. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Sing that with me. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live in the moment. Feels good, don't it? Feels good, don't it? Only got one life, live. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. Oh, it feels so good to be alive. One more time. It feels so good to be alive.
All right. I don't get to do the closing benediction very often. I thought maybe we'd try the old one. Want to do the old one? All right. If I don't remember it, you got to help me out. Repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. And life is in all my activities. I think it. I feel it. I know it. And I accept it. Just the way that it is. And just the way that it is not. Thank you, life. Amen. Oh, that was fun. Thanks for being here. Remember, pray often, love much.